What's up everyone and welcome to another one. Today in this video we're going to be going over the Ultimatum review, which is shown on the screen right now. This is a Twitch stream that was done by GG yesterday, and we're just going to be looking at some interesting stuff, hopefully. I've already seen this back when they were streaming it live, so if you haven't seen that, I suggest you check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description. You'll go to their Twitch profile and then go to videos, and it will be the latest video. This is total of a 4.5 hour stream with some Q&A in the end, which I'm not gonna bother to go through. We're just gonna be looking at the review, some of the stuff that they're doing, and some Beastcraft changes, and overall how I feel about this, and how this is gonna impact my my league start at all, or if this maybe changes the way I would do things in standard. I'll just give you my opinion. So yeah, let's get into it.
Have any questions about what you just saw? We'll be doing a Q&A later on. While Path of Exile 2 definitely won't be released this year, we do have a Path of Exile expansion you can play 1 week from now. I'd like to introduce Path of Exile Ultimatum.
Let's see.
You only live once, Exile. Make your choice.
Despite this looking very similar to the last league, Ritual, I don't know. For some reason, I find it more. It seems more tempting to play this over Ritual.
A simple ultimatum.
Ritual bored me in 1 week, so.
And a meager reward, or risk it all for a chance at ungodly riches.
Let's see. What did that say?
For each
Can either take
trial
coins
you
or
accept,
exalt.
The challenge grows.
Current reward. Oh, next reward. Okay.
And leave with nothing. Reap the reward you deserve.
I kind of like when they give us this like the picture of the items, right? I don't know if that's just me. I can also pause it with spacebar. Okay. I know if that's just me, but I always try to look for something that's new, you know.
Reap the reward you
So that looks pretty normal. Tilted or drop. Okay. Let's see. Do we see the new exalted orb? So I don't know if they're gonna go over that like right now, but that's gonna give basically an added. It's a chaos orb, and when you chaos an item, it will give you a field mod. I personally don't think it's that great. Maybe it's good if you're gonna unveil items to get your crafts unlocked, but other than that, I don't think it's that amazing. Other than that, based on this picture, there's nothing I can personally see that out of the ordinary. The catalysts are very interesting.
Ultimate reward requires ultimate risk. Face the ultimatum.
All right. Cool. I really like the trailer, honestly. It's almost like we're getting a small expansion because they're reworking so many of the previous. Let me turn on the light real quick. It's actually almost like we're getting an expansion, like because they're reworking a lot of the rewards of the previous things that we already have, like essences, Pirandas, betrayal, pretty much everything they just went through. Like it's all being reworked, so it's kind of interesting. It's definitely gonna impact our way we play the game for sure.
When some people think of the Val civilization, they think of blood sacrifices, or Queen Atziri, or lost temples in the jungle. But I think of risking your items. From Val orbs through double corruption, the whole Val or no balls meme, we had to make sure that this expansion was about the concept of risking your items to get great reward. In each area of the Ultimatum League, you'll meet the Trial Master, an emissary of a vile entity only
There's a
known as
gem
the
in there.
Chaos.
The green
On
thing?
behalf of Chaos,
Looks like a
the
skill
Trial
gem.
Master enacts trials where exiles must risk an escalating
Oh,
setback
it probably was, because now you see a sword inside there, so I
valuable
guess
rewards
the
as they
reward
attempt to
changes. You
overcome
can
progressively
already
more
look into the
difficult
display.
encounters. In each trial, you'll be presented with a reward, an
Oh, yeah.
objective, and
So basically, as we can see here, based on what's inside the display, you can already kind of see what's in there. So when you see that skull belt,
a
you better
selection of
click it.
difficulty modifiers that make the trial harder. Once you've chosen one of the modifiers, you must then complete that objective under the constraints of that modifier. in
All
order
right,
to
and it
win
puts
the
it on a
promised
pedestal.
reward.
That's pretty cool.
If you succeed in the challenge, the Trial Master will present you with an ultimatum. Either walk away with what you have earned so far, or risk it all to try to win additional rewards. He'll offer you another item if you can select an additional difficulty modifier and complete the challenge with both modifiers present. If you fail though, you'll lose both rewards and walk away with nothing.
F.
If you succeed, you'll be offered an additional reward in exchange for adding yet another difficulty modifier that stacks on top of the current ones. This cycle continues until the rewards become increasingly valuable and the encounter extremely difficult. You'll have to pick a point to end your run and claim your spoils before you make the encounter too hard and lose everything.
We see anything cool here? No.
At its longest, an ultimatum in endgame maps can sometimes have up to 10 fast trials in a row, with a special surprise in the last one. In maps, you'll occasionally find items called inscribed ultimatums.
Get to see it? Yeah. So it already tells you what you have to sacrifice prior to putting it in. Reward doubles the sacrifice currency. It seems... Looks like players are getting debuffs here instead of buffing. Maybe not, but it says like unlucky criticals here. I don't see that being towards you. I see that being you having unlucky crits. So
these items can be placed in a map device to transport you to the Trial Master's domain. Each inscribed ultimatum specifies
don't go
an
crit,
offering
boys.
you must bring with you, a reward you can earn, and an assortment of ultimatum difficulty modifiers. If you're able to complete the Trial Master will reward you with a specified reward. Which
Let's see, what kind of arena do we have here?
Of the item you must bring.
I feel like this is actually very cheesable because of
you may be asked to risk an exalted orb.
Because of the stairs here. So I was initially thinking of going Toxic Rain, which I will still play Toxic Rain. I'll go Saboteur in day whatever 4 or something. I'm gonna swap to what I thought would be Poison Blade Vortex because I'm super familiar with it. However, after seeing the trailer, I'm actually more inclined to try something like Brand, like Stormbrand. It seems way better for content like this. Like, it's very overwhelming having a lot of stuff happening from each side. But if you can, I don't know if you can walk up here, but like if you can walk up there and you just frost wall this, even on a non-ZHP character, like I'm not saying go ZHP, that's probably stupid, but you know, like you frost wall this off and stuff from here won't even hit you anymore. But maybe this is not walkable.
Orb to win a stack of 2, or potentially risk a stack of 5 to win a stack of 10. Naturally, inscribed ultimatums can be traded with other players, so if you don't feel capable of completing a difficult challenge, you may be able to trade it away
4 times
for
the
a
nurse
portion of
gives
the
8.
difference in price between the reward and the item that
Exalted
must be
Orb.
risked. Likewise, if you have a powerful character, you may be able to selectively trade for
Whispering
profitable
Ice for a
ultimatums to
void
run.
battery.
There are also new unique items that can only be obtained from ultimate.
So based on that you can sacrifice one unique to get another, I think it would be very good to just keep a lot of the uniques that you're going to find early and not really vendor them. Especially if they might be a bit rare but not necessarily that good, which might give them some value.
One such unique is the Glimpse of Chaos Val Mask, which provides powerful benefits to your maximum life, mana, and energy shield at the cost of having severely reduced elemental resistances and no chaos resistance. The item can be corrupted multiple times and has unique corruption.
So this thing gives you 0 chaos rust. I wonder how that works with CI, because I'm pretty sure CI gives you 100%. I'm guessing it's not going to work with CI. It's going to be a very strong helm for something like... It could be very strong for something like... imagine like a mana guardian or something that scales mana into ES or something. It basically double dips on this. We don't know how high it goes. I'm assuming based on the fact that they're all in the 30 range, probably like 30 to 40 on all mods.
Outcomes, such as removing a random modifier or transforming it into a different random corrupted unique helmet entirely that retains its corruption implicit mod. Another new Val unique item in Ultimatum is Mahuzottl's Machination, which grants you 6 keystone passives at once. Combining all of these keystones results in some very unusual outcomes.
True. So the thing that caught my attention here is Corrupted Soul and Divine Flesh, which are timeless passives. So you can actually combine multiple timeless things now. So for example, having a shield, obviously like having glancing blows on this would be great. And normally that's on the tree. On like a side where you cannot really get it. So this could actually be really good. If you get the right stuff, it could be extremely good. Unfortunately, I think most of the times this is going to be complete shit, much like the helm from Harvest. Forbidden Shake.
And the item features an entirely new unique keystone as well. We have worked hard to make sure that Ultimatum doesn't punish you for being in a party with other players. Party members compete in trials together, but have separate rewards available to them that will need to be locked in to begin the trial. Each player votes on which difficulty modifiers to select. If there's a draw in votes, the modifier will be chosen at random. If one player wants to take their reward and opt out of the next difficult trial, they're able to do so without stopping the other party members from continuing. Rewards are dropped allocated to the players who earned them. So that's Path of Exile Ultimatum. I can tell you, on release day, a lot of our developers are looking forward to watching Twitch so we can see players risking far too much in order to try to get good rewards.
They don't watch Twitch.
Speaking of rewards, there's a lot to talk about here. We had a look at Path of Exile's past reward systems, and we honestly feel many of them are out of date, many of them kind of lack identity.
It's funny they say that now, because about 2 months ago, my friend Samir mentioned that there was some sort of discussion in chat where like why Delhi was so good, and one of the things was we were talking about how it's potentially going to get outdated at some point, and this was exactly the thing that we were talking about, that GG, whenever they release a new league, they tend to forget about older leagues, which means that if you have, for example, Delhi, you're going to get every single Delirium Orb up until that league. And then when a new league comes out, for example, Heist, you don't have a Heist Delirium Orb. Now, obviously, I don't know what you would get out of a Heist Delirium Orb. I guess a couple of blueprints, but basically, they only count as up to that point. So this is kind of interesting to see that they're going back to older league mechanics. Although, like this is definitely really interesting. I like it. I love that they do that, because if you look at stuff like Essences, it's pretty outdated. Ambush, I don't know if they bother with that, but you know, these things are all, they're kind of outdated.
And to top it all off, like the core drop pool of just items that drop when you kill regular monsters just wasn't really compelling enough. Like, you know that feeling where any monster could drop a mirror? We want that for a whole slew of different items. And so we've made a lot of changes to Path of Exile's reward systems. There's a bunch of ones to the core drop pool to keep it really interesting. There's ones to basically every piece of League and expansion-specific content. And we're going to go through all of those for quite a while now. And I should mention that every change we're about to discuss not only affects the Ultimatum League, but also Standard League too.
Also Standard, so it's kind of like a mini expansion that we're getting across every...
We started by reviewing which items
league
can drop from monsters and chests in the core game. To make sure the core drop pool remains compelling, we've made various changes. You can now find 2 additional currency items as core drops, Orbs of Binding from the Harbinger League, and the new Veiled Chaos.
So that's actually a nerf to Nemesis currency, because Nemesis currency takes currency from the base currency pool, so basic currency. Adding this is not necessarily like a bad thing, but it does mean that Exalts will lose a little bit of their weighting. Everything loses a little bit of their weighting because these are coming into the game, and I don't see either of these currencies ever becoming that great.
Which we'll reveal in more detail soon. We've also added 5 new Atlas base types, like this Energy Shield Recharge Amulet.
So I don't know if based on this we can already somewhat see what areas we have here, or if this is based on the old... I honestly can't really tell, but neither of these areas are too interesting anyway. Haywark is obviously cool right now, but soon enough that's irrelevant.
These drop in
Looks like it's the old
regions of
one because I
Atlas
see
of
Ley
Worlds
Line
some
and Summit
powerful
and all
new
that up in
impulsive
Haywark.
mods. Another topic related to the core drop pool is that of boss runs. Veteran community members will remember when people used to do Val Oversoul or Dominus runs over and over because they were a profitable use of time. Final act bosses now drop more and better items, giving you a much more satisfying close to a difficult act and a more item-focused approach to getting ready for maps if you prefer. We have also added a bunch of very powerful and valuable League-specific uniques into the core drop pool. This means that they can drop from any sufficiently high-level monster without you having to engage with specialized content. Examples of these are Badge of the Brotherhood, Asylum, Pledge of Hands, Maloney's Mechanism, Brutus's Lead Sprinkler, and Headhunter. The goal of all of these changes is to make sure that every monster you kill in Path of Exile has a chance to drop something incredibly valuable, regardless of what content you're playing. On top of all of that, we have added a handful of new vendor recipes.
This is such a
which let you
debate.
make some pretty cool stuff.
I love it.
We really miss the days when players were scrambling to try to find unknown recipes, and so we're looking forward to seeing how long it takes for you to discover how these ones work. We have also introduced a new type of reliquary key into the core drop pool for this expansion. If you're very lucky, you can find a Val reliquary key from any monster or chest in Path of Exile. When consumed in the map device, it gives you access to a vault with a chest that drops a special foil version of a Val-themed unique item. Each unique has an equal chance of dropping. Due to the value and power level of the items contained within, this is the rarest reliquary key ever added to Path of Exile.
So I think that is a misconception. I've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, reliquary keys are good. This is the best one so far. But that's not really true, because true it is, I don't know in what way it's the best one. It's the rarest one probably, but the other ones weren't really that rare to begin with. Like when they initially were added to the game, like back in Legacy League, leagues after that they were still bugged, and they were actually like I think it was like twice as rare as an Exalted Orb, so it wasn't even that crazy. So having something being significantly more rare than that kind of makes sense. I don't think the rewards are going to be that great. I can't think of any viable Val thing that we use apart from maybe the Jewel. I think they're going to show that one. That's pretty interesting. Adziri's Reign. Obviously, the Adziri Flask is going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, maybe Roomies can actually drop in here, because Roomies is a Val item as well. So that would be cool, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be that amazing. You're probably better off in every way getting a different Roomies elsewhere other than a foil one.
The rest of our reward changes relate to items that you can earn by playing past content like prior leagues and expansions. We have 2 goals here. The first is to add and improve items so that all past content is a compelling set of rewards. The second goal is to make it so that the best way to get any reward is to play the content that is primarily associated with that type of reward. Path of Exile's first expansion, Sacrifice of the Val, introduced a new ultimate boss, Adziri, Queen of the Val. This fight holds up pretty well these days, considering that it is 7 years old, but its rewards really needed a refresh. The Sacrificial Garb base type that drops from Adziri has been significantly improved with the addition of an implicit mod that grants +1 to the level of all Val gems you have equipped. We have also added 2 new unique items to Adziri's drop pool and 2 more to Uber Adziri's. One of which is the Adziri's Rule Judgment Staff, which prevents you from being stunned or having your damage reflected. It grants a skill that alternates between Flames of Judgment and Storm of Judgment when used, as if you absorb the powers of Adziri herself. Skipping forward to 2016's release of Ascendancy, we have made some changes to how you receive your Labyrinth enchantments. Previously, when you completed the Labyrinth and went to enchant an item, you couldn't see what random result you'd get. Now, the result for each type of enchantment is shown to you in advance so you can make the right choice. In the Eternal Labyrinth, you're now offered 3 different...
Let me stop you there, Chris. This is really interesting. Now, I had some people ask me, like, but what happens if you have 7 enchants? The way I think that's going to happen is that the moment you choose one of these, since you can just over enchant, the moment you choose one of these, it will go into the next interface. You'll get the same interface pop up once more. Although over here it looks like they have. Let me just go back real quick. Not sure if they, because there's 3 helm enchants here, which is a bit weird. Do we get to see his interface?
Previously, when you completed the labyrinth and went to enchant an item, you couldn't see what random result you'd get. Now, the result for each type of enchantment is shown to you in advance so you can make the right choice. In the Eternal Labyrinth,
we don't get to see his interface, but
offered 3
it's
different helmet enchantments to pick between, in addition.
So you get 3 different to pick between. Okay, my bad. So he just said 3 different ones. My bad. I mean, you probably tilted over there. So 3 different ones. So that actually means that a gift from the goddess will now give, probably, if I have to guess, 7 times 3 rewards. So every time you go to the next interface, you get another. This interface pops up again. That's what I'm guessing. So the moment you press enchant, the thing pops up again. Then the moment you press enchant, thing pops up again 7 times in a row, or 6 times in a row, and then 7 if you have twice enchanted. That should give you 21 total helmet enchants.
To the boots and gloves.
That's
this will
great.
Make it a lot easier to find enchantments relevant to the skills.
Maybe he does 2 of them.
Apply them to appropriate items.
So I'm assuming that the thing would have just popped up again. In that case,
stop giving out unique jewels for each day's fastest labyrinth runs, and we have added these jewels as very rare drops that you might find in the labyrinth's final reward chests. Another highly requested labyrinth-related improvement is that you can now consume an offering to the goddess and the map device to open portals
I
directly
used to have
into a
that.
random trial. This greatly accelerates the speed at which you can find your final trials. We've also added 2
Wait. That's very interesting. I was like, we used to be able to do that, and maybe some of you guys remember, but back in the days, to go into the lab, you had to put it in your map device, and then you would go into the lab. Kind of cool how they did this. Definitely very nice, because I remember in Solo Self-Found when I was doing, when I was running, I got to level 93 in Harbinger League until I got my final trial.
Labyrinth-specific unique items, including the Scales of Justice unique shield, which rewards building your character with a careful balance of life and mana. If used correctly, you'll be granted protection from shock and ignite, as well as additional fire damage.
Yikes.
Kadira Perandus now has a much larger selection of unique item rewards. We have also rebalanced all sources of Perandus coins so that Perandus content is still the best place to get them from. A craft introduced in Harvest kinda destroyed the Perandus coin economy,
so a thing I found very interesting with this is that he's running about 13 frenzy charges. Like, I don't know why. Oh yeah, they're still there up on top. So I don't know. I just found it very interesting. I'm not sure how many you can get normally. I know you can get ring. But that's assuming they're using synth gear. Like, I feel like there's something.
Fixing that at the same time.
It's very odd that they would use synth gear.
Essences have been numerically rebalanced and are in general stronger than they were before. Screaming essences can now be used to reroll rare items, in addition to their capability to upgrade items to rare. The 4 corrupted essences have had some of their less useful outcomes improved or replaced. Now, the only way to get the powerful upgrade-only top-tier essences is through remnants of corruption, which come from essence content. Blessings, the currency used to upgrade breach uniques, can now be used to upgrade breach stones between tiers also. Abyss jewels have been rebalanced and are on average more powerful than they were before.
So the breach thing is pretty interesting. If previously you would have to spend, I'm thinking about standard here, you would have to spend about, I think about 100 pure Chayulas to get from 99 to 100. What you can do now is you can just bring 1 pure stone and then 99 enriched, and since the blessing drop rate on a pure stone is 100%, as long as you keep killing Chayula every run, you can use the blessing from the first pure to upgrade your next enriched into a pure. Kill that pure, drop the blessing, upgrade your next enriched, and rinse repeat. It's actually going to be very beneficial for your character, or to have someone who can kill Chayula in this case on your team.
We've also buffed Abyss chests to make sure that they are the best place to get Abyss jewels. We have also introduced Abyss Scarabs and have added 4 new Abyss-specific unique jewels, such as Tekrod's Gaze, a murderous eye jewel that increases your main hand critical strike chance and your offhand critical strike multiplier based on how many murderous-eye jewels you have equipped. Another example is the Ulaman's Gaze Searching Eye Jewel, which counts how many Searching Eye Jewels you have equipped and grants your projectiles a chance to be able to chain when colliding with terrain proportional to this number. These unique jewels have a chance to drop from any of the unique encounters at the end of the Abyssal Depths, and these encounters are now by far the most reliable way to obtain a Stygian Vice belt.
However, it's not limited to one. This is also a Searching Eye. So I'm guessing, unless the 20% is global, it says maximum of 20. I'm assuming that's global. If it's not global, then you can just stack 5 of these and you'll be good to go. I doubt that's the thing.
We have added a handful of new beastcrafts, such as add a mod to a map, or add a mod to an influenced item, which consume existing beasts. There are some other aspects of beast crafting that we've been keeping our eye on for a while, and we're taking this opportunity to rework them, so that high-level gameplay is less reliant on obtaining certain beastcrafts. Now, when you use a splitting beastcraft recipe on an item, both copies are marked as split, which prevents them from being split again. You cannot imprint split items. One of my favorite reward changes in this expansion is that...
Alright, so that's a huge rip, and I think we've all seen how expensive splits and imprints are right now. Basically means that from this point and onwards, we cannot, other than getting 6 white items, that's the only thing that I can think of that could be relevant. And even then, you can only really split it into 2, and then it's game over. So that's huge as far as the crafting meta goes, especially in Standard. Of course, in League 2, however, in Standard, we had access to some legacy items that GG clearly didn't like. For example, we have 140 energy shield flat on our shields, which make it very easy to get like 550 plus ES shields. We have quantity, we have legacy crypt multi, all these sorts of mods, and I guess it's finally coming to an end, and people are, as we speak, probably milking the shit out of every single spider they can find. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see what that's gonna be like. I gotta say, one thing that did strike my attention here is that they nerfed this part of splitting, but they kept fractured fossils as is. So this shows that GG maybe wants that to be around still. They still want Delhi mapping to be around the way it is right now. In the sense that if they would have nerfed it, they would have done it now. Because they are doing a big rework, just splitting a map with a fossil, kind of the same thing. They could have just given it the fractured tag, which would have then done the same as the split, or whatever the fuck it was, splitted tag. They didn't do that, so that shows, that tells me that they clearly wanted, or they clearly want Delhi mapping the way we have it right now with the bugged maps. They clearly don't mind that, but they did care about these bases being duped. So that's just a funny thing that I wanted to point out. On top of that, you can still dupe golden mantles. You can still dupe the golden wreaths, or pretty much any of the bases from the demigods or the jet amulet, which will maybe soon hit the market. It's all still splittable. You can just fracture it 5 times, vendor it, and you'll get the original one back. So as far as that goes, the game hasn't changed, and we never had access to 5 white golden mantle anyway, because you cannot split a golden mantle. We'll say that it's not an Atlas base, and so you had to fracture that. So as far as golden mantle crafting or crafting on items like that in general doesn't really matter at all. So this is strictly a big hit on quantity gear.
That Incursion's Temple of Atsuato can now be itemized. Once you have access to the map device, Alva can turn your completed and ready to run temple into a tradable object that can be consumed in the map device.
Really good.
This means that players can specialize in either making temples to trade to other players or trading for temples that are ready for them to run. There have also been a lot of changes to the temple. As you may know, specific rooms in the Temple of Atsuado can drop unique incursion items that can be later upgraded. Many of these base unique items have been improved in this update. Previously, the temple's boss, the Omnitect, dropped random rare items with special incursion mods on them. Now it also drops rare items with incursion mods based around the themes of the rooms your temple contains. Higher tier rooms cause more rare items. Specific rooms now add specific monster packs to the temple, which results in more monster density, challenge, and reward. Temple mods have been buffed so that if your temple has more high tier rooms, then it's equivalent to a good map. We have performed a modernization pass on rewards from temple rooms so that they're competitive with rewards from newer leagues. The explosive room also contains some basic chests that can be opened with flash powder kegs if you don't need them for opening a path elsewhere in the temple.
So, as far as the Omnitech getting a buff based on what rooms you unlock, I think that's kind of irrelevant unless they also drastically increase the power of some of these modifiers, because I don't think any of the temple mods were particularly strong. Maybe the Mana Reserve Helm or something like that, but even then, it's very unlikely to actually be a great item.
Delve has had a big increase to early rewards and a reduction to the quantity of high-tier rewards spawning at very deep depths. The end result is that Delve is a lot more rewarding for almost everyone, but a few extreme players who delve very deep will not be getting quite so rich from it. A big problem with rewards and betrayal is that
I think the delve thing is good. I always disliked having characters like, obviously I've been quite deep. I delved with Blink for a decent amount of time, so I know what it's like down there. Personally, I don't even think it's that great for money, but you know, like, it's brain dead and that's about it. What I never liked is if I enjoyed playing a character, no matter which of my characters that is, if I enjoyed playing them, I always found it very annoying that if I even wanted to go delve with them, I really had to go delve just to get a challenge, not reward. My Poison Behavior can do like 1.1k, but what's the point of doing that if there's no fossil spawning there anyway, right? You had to go at least like 2.53k to even see a couple of fossils, so I think it's good that they brought that down. I hope they brought it down enough to be relevant, because I would say my Poison Blade Vortex character is quite strong. It's quite min-maxed, and I hope that it can find something at 1100. But if they brought it from 3k down to, or from 2.5k down to 1500, that is kind of whatever.
Players deem it not worthwhile to kill Katarina because it resets your Betrayal Syndicate board. In this expansion, we have massively increased the incentive for doing this. Now if you manage to kill Katarina, all Syndicate members drop their rewards at one tier higher than they previously would. This change required the introduction of a new 4th tier of reward from each Syndicate member and encourages the use of a larger variety of Syndicate targets and Safe House leaders. We have improved rewards that were not as interesting or valuable as the best ones. For cases where we deemed rewards too powerful, we moved them to tier 4 rather than nerfing them. The tier 4 rewards are approximately twice as powerful as tier 3 ones were. We have also added a new unique item to Katarina's.
This could mean that Vorici 3 will give, since they say twice as powerful, instead of up to 3 white sockets, up to 6 white sockets, which wouldn't be completely out of the world, because they did remove splitting. So, and splitting was a easy way for us to get the 6 white items, so maybe it's going to be more of a SSF thing to do, but hopefully they'll allow us to get like 3 to or 4 to 6 or something. That'll be amazing.
Drop pool as further incentive for killing her. The Cane of Kulamak drops only from Katarina. Similar to Paradoxica, it has 3 veiled modifiers that must be unveiled one at a time via Jun. This means that each version of the cane could be entirely different, and because of the way the veiled modifier system works, you have the chance to get 3 mods that potentially synergize extremely well, or maybe just a crazy bag of mods that don't work together. Furthermore, the cane itself scales up the magnitudes of any unveiled modifiers on it. We have made some changes to how unveiling mods works. You still get offered a choice of 3 mods, but these are now more powerful versions of the existing ones. The powerful ones are unveiled onto items, and the normal versions are the ones you unlock that can be crafted onto items. Also, progress towards unlocking crafting of veiled mods is at a slightly faster rate than before. Some very powerful veiled modifiers are now only available at their original strength on the unveiled version of the modifier, and the crafted version of the modifier has been
Oh, I would have loved to see
lowered in
more.
power. Earlier in the presentation,
I don't think
alluded
it showed
to the new
anything. I
veiled
thought it was
Chaos
just a
Orb as an
bench
item
as
that
is.
has been added to Path of Exile's core drop pool. This new currency item rerolls the target item with new mods, like a regular Chaos Orb does, but one mod is guaranteed to be a veiled mod. While it can drop from any monster or chest in the game,
The thing I found interesting with this Chaos Orb is the Veiled mod considered an additional mod, or is it considered, is it like including or excluding the Chaos Orb, if you know what I mean? So a Chaos Orb always rolls 4 to 6 modifiers. You cannot get a rare with 3 modifiers from a Chaos Orb. The only way to get a 3-modded rare is if you transmute, augment, regal. Chaos always rolls 4 to 6, so I'm guessing you should be able to get, now this won't matter too much, but this should mean that you can potentially get 3, or still 4 to 6, however 3 plus 1, or 5 plus 1, kind of. And if that's the case, and the Veiled mod is a mod that you can remove with your crafting bench, that means that you can potentially do some stuff with these orbs that can maybe give you a shortcut towards crafting, because you already start off with 1 mod less because you can remove it with your crafting bench.
far the most effective way of getting it is from Isling and some Betrayal safe houses. We have introduced 3 new types of incubators for Blight, Metamorph, and Delirium, and have modernized the rewards from the other incubators. The item yield from chests and blighted maps is now affected by a portion of the map item's quantity, giving you a reason to roll your blighted maps if you can handle the additional challenge. Anointments to blighted maps have been rebalanced and reworked so that each has its own purpose and with a consistent increase in reward as the oils get.
Areas affected from maps item quantity modifier also affect blight chest. That's really good. That is really interesting.
This is basically entirely buffs, because one big nerf we needed to do was already done last league. You can now corrupt blighted maps. These can very rarely drop the new tainted oil, which allows you to apply anointments to corrupted items.
That's huge. That's very, very huge. That's really good. I think we all have some sort of items lying around that we can use that on, I guess.
We have also introduced blighted scarabs. We have added 2 new types of catalysts themed around speed and critical strikes, respectively.
So the crit multi one, huge. That's massive. That's great for standard, especially if you have like 70 crit multi on your amulet. I mean, that's gonna be amazing. The other thing is a couple of uniques like Ungul's amulet. Someone in chat mentioned that. Could be very big on that. The speed, I don't think it's gonna be that good. Not gonna lie. Maybe there are some uniques that is gonna work well on, but at most it's gonna give you maybe 1 or 2% movement speed or 1 or 2% attack speed. If you guys know any better ideas on how to use them, then do let me know. But as of like off the top of my head, I don't think the speed one is gonna be that great. I could see it being used, but not a whole lot.
These new catalysts are rarer than previous ones. As discussed in the recent development manifesto, the current 3.13 version of Harvest is too rewarding, so we're rebalancing its crafting and also increasing how often you'll encounter portals to the Sacred Grove. The current version spams you with way too many crafts, so each seed has a chance to grant a craft now, reducing the overall number of crafts you can perform per garden, though you will encounter the Grove 60% more than you did before. Some of the most powerful crafting options have been removed or changed. The Heart of the Grove encounter is now a map fragment that can randomly drop from tier 4 harvest bosses instead of rarely replacing the entire grove when it spawns. With the release of Ultimatum, Ritual will be added to the core game, with a chance to occur in each map you play. It has also been added to the Atlas passive skill tree system and is available as a Sextant mod. Almost every time we release a league, we later roll it into the core game with a chance to spawn in maps, usually 10%, sometimes 5%. When Ritual is added to the core game, we are standardizing this rate at 8%, which means a small decrease for some leagues and an increase for Harvest. We've rebalanced other things to compensate, like the rate at which Heist Rogues level up. Most Atlas passive trees have the same increase in chance for bonus content, meaning they now offer more than double the chance of encountering your preferred content. So I just spent a ton of time describing lots of buffs to Path of Exile's different reward systems, and there was one nerf that I left to last. And this gives us a nerf to a league that I kind of care about a bit. Talisman was one that I...
Alright, anyway, so from this point on, it's just a little bit of rambling. Like he said, it's the last thing. Now we're going to do a Q&A. So, little tally up. Beasts are getting changed. Pretty interesting. We're getting a whole bunch of new interesting stuff in Standard. So that is pretty cool. Overall, I'm happy with what they did. And, of course, they're giving us a week to abuse whatever we want to abuse, which is obviously plenty of time. And if we're not bankrupt from Harvest by now, then we will be bankrupt after buying some spiders now, because I'm pretty sure they went up to like 10 exalts each now, and 2 days ago they were like 1.5. Yeah. All I can say is get your spiders, get your crazy chimeras, split some quant gear. If you ever want to do some magic finding, get your quant gear now. Like, this is literally your last chance. And don't feel too bad about spending that amount of money. You will make it back. Half a year from now, you're going to be looking at shit quant items that are being sold for like 300 X a pop. So if you care about quant at all, then get your shit now, and maybe even craft it up a little bit with Harvest. It's not hard to make it somewhat decent, even though you might not have too much money to spend on it. It's very easy to beat the Mastercraft. So if you care about crafting for cheap, then I would suggest you check out my crafting with the Reforges video. I think I posted that 4 videos ago or something like that. It involves using Harvest Reforges to craft your items, which for quantity gear could be very nice. If you're having an item that only has quantity as a suffix, you can simply suffix can be changed, which is going to cost you 2 exalts. And then reforge with either speed, perhaps on boots, and then you're likely to get speed. Reforge with life, you're likely to get life, obviously. It's a pretty relevant way of crafting, and you can make yourself something decent and just mastercraft it up if you want to, the rest of it. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, do let me know. Tell me what you think about these changes that they're doing. I personally think it's amazing. I hate the whole splitting meta as much as I do it. I still don't necessarily like it. So really interesting. Corrupting or anointing corrupted items are really cool. If you want to abuse that, you can go scour the map or scour a trade for some interesting corrupted amulets that people may be underpriced because it doesn't have an anoint. So go check that out. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. This was my video on reaction of sorts to the upcoming league and the changes that they're doing to Path of Exile in general. Hope you had a great day. Have a nice weekend, and I'll be live again on Monday from 11 in the morning to 8 in the evening, Central European time. The link to that is in the description, and I hope to see you guys then. Have a good one. Thank you.